Another good day, vinyl community. Mr. Rick back once again with part 2 of the soundtracks, of some of the soundtracks that I've got. And I want to go back to the movies and show you some of these great movies. A lot of them were good movies. I remember seeing a lot of them. And I enjoy listening to soundtracks every once in a while. We'll start off with this one here. This is called The Graduate, if you remember that one. Anne Bancroft, Dustin Hoffman, and of course Simon and Garfunkel did most of the songs on this soundtrack. And this one is in monaural, but it was a good movie. If you've ever seen The Graduate, another good movie. I enjoyed it very much. It's just The Graduate. The Glenn Miller Story. That starred Jimmy Stewart and who was it? I can't remember her name right off the bat. It's funny, but they don't have the names of the actors on the back of this jacket like they normally do. But this was a good movie. Louis Armstrong's in it, or some of his tracks are on this album. This one came out, I think, 1956. This is an original from that year. The jacket's not in the greatest condition, but this was a good movie. I enjoyed the Glenn Miller Story quite a bit with Jimmy Stewart. Here's one from Elvis, Girls, Girls, Girls. I think this is an original. It's the RCA Victor and Living Stereo. Hal Wallace production. Stella Stevens was in it. Of course, a lot of no names, but one of Elvis's movies that they just kept putting him in movies, and they were just to sell tickets and to sell movies. They weren't really great movies, but this one's Girls, Girls, Girls from the year's not on here. I think around 1961, 62, or 63. Here's a movie I've never seen, but I bought this album because it had such great talent on it. It had the Dave Clark Five, Stan Getz and Astra Gilberto. The Animals are on it. Jimmy Smith Trio, Marianne Mobley. It's got the Dave Clark Five. Stan Getz is in it. The Jimmy Smith Trio and the Standells. And Get Yourself a College Girl. I can't tell you a thing about this movie because I've never seen it, and I've never even seen a chance to look at it on YouTube. But I don't even know if it was popular. But anyway, it's a soundtrack. Get Yourself a College Girl. From 1963, here's Henry Mancini and his soundtrack from Charade, which starred Cary Grant and Audrey Hepburn. And I like Mancini's music. He did a lot of soundtracks in his day, and it's just some good, solid, light jazz which he produced. Walter Matthau starred in this movie along with James Coburn, and Henry Mancini did all the music. It's from 1963, Charade. Here's another Mancini album, Breakfast at Tiffany's, which starred Audrey Hepburn and George Peppard from I think this is from 19... I don't see the year on this one either. 61 or 62. And it's another album of Henry Mancini's music. And like I said, if you enjoy light jazz, Mancini's not bad. There's a lot of good songs on here. He does a lot of Latin things. And Moon River, if I'm not mistaken, Moon River came off of this album, which was a big hit for him back in the early 1960s. So Breakfast at Tiffany's, that starred Audrey Hepburn and George Peppard. And Buddy Essen is in this one. I didn't know that. That's interesting. And Mickey Rooney also made an appearance in this movie. I've only seen that movie one time. Here's Beverly Hills Cop. Some good music on this album. Patti LaBelle is in it. Shalimar, Rucky Robbins, the Pointer Sisters are on it. Glenn Frey, The Heat Is On, and just a good soundtrack here. Beverly Hills, of course, a good movie too, starring Eddie Murphy. Beverly Hills Cop. Here's another good one. Back to the Future. It starred Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd. We've probably all seen this movie before and remember it. The first one was great. I wasn't too enthused with the other two, but this soundtrack's got a lot of good music also. Huey Lewis in the News, The Power of Love. Let's see, Lindsey Buckingham does Time Bomb Town. And Eric Clapton does Heaven Is One Step Away. And a lot of good music on it. That's Back to the Future. I think that came out somewhere around 1980, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm sure everybody remembers that movie. It was a popular one back in its day. Here's another good classic. Especially the women love this movie. An Affair to Remember, starring Cary Grant and Deborah Kerr. Affair to Remember is sung by a gentleman by the name of Vic Damone. If many of you probably don't remember him, but he was popular in his day back in the 40s and 50s, and he does the title song on it. But it's a good story, and it's just a good movie. I won't bore you with the details of it. If you have seen it, you like it. If you haven't seen it, it's one that you might enjoy, especially if you're a woman. You'll enjoy it. Women love these tearjerkers, and that's what that is. I remember in high school when this record came out, when this movie came out. I remember seeing it in high school. It came out in 1973, and American Graffiti, and it just had so many great tunes in it. I mean, great old rock and roll from the 50s and 60s. And I have, ever since then, I have always had a copy of this album. It's a great soundtrack. I won't go into all the songs because it's a double album set, as many of you probably know, and just a great album with Ron Howard in it, and I can't think of all the people that were in it right now, but a great album. It's a great movie. Here's another one. This is the Patsy Cline story, Sweet Dreams. It starred Jessica Lange and Ed Harris in it. I was a little disappointed in this movie, I'll be honest with you, because I know the story of Patsy Cline. And I also know that if Charlie would have knocked her around like that, she'd have put him 6 feet under. But because Patsy Cline was a fighting kind of woman. But anyway, it's an enjoyable album, and a lot of the songs on it, all of them have been covered. All the instrumentation has been taken out and new instrumentation added, but it is still an interesting listen. Sweet Dreams, the story of Patsy Cline. Here's a movie I love, and I wish I had a copy of it. It's called The Summer of 42. Starred Jennifer O'Neill was a star in it, and the other boys that were in it were no names, basically. But it takes place, it's a story about a group of boys, especially one boy in World War II, and Jennifer O'Neill's husband had just been killed in the movie, and she's in mourning for him, and this young boy comes along just at the right time, and she makes a man out of him, and I won't say any more about that. But the soundtrack, The Summer of 42, with Michael Legrand, is a beautiful song, and the soundtrack is the whole soundtrack. I enjoy the music of it. And this is Michael Legrand from The Summer of 42, which came out in 1971, I believe. Here's another good movie. You all know that I'm a Judy Garland fan, and A Star Is Born was a good movie, and this soundtrack is a good soundtrack. This is from 1954, and this has got The Man That Got Away, which was one of her big signature songs. Great album here. We enjoy that. And last but not least, go back to 1958, the year I was born, and this is the South Pacific with Mitzi Gaynor in it, and John Carr, Ray Walston of the Man from Mars. Was it the Man from Mars, the Man from Martin, or something like that? He had a television show, but he's in it, and this is a good soundtrack too. It's got a lot of good songs in it. And that's just about it. I think we're running out of time, so we'll put a bookmark in it right there, and we'll be back a little later on. Leave me a comment, if you will, and let me know if there's something I can do for you or something you might enjoy doing. And until we meet you again, this is Mr. Rick saying that if the good Lord's willing and the creeks don't rise, we'll see you before long.